those type of things just really help me lock in more than ever.
It really doesn't matter, but I've been as locked in as I've ever been in my career.
Good evening, locksmiths, lock dogs, lock cats, lock people of all ages, genders, everybody except for Cowboys fans. We're super excited to have you along. We're back. We are back with the podcast. We missed you guys. I feel like we've been kind of dissipating or distancing ourselves. Dissipating. I don't know what that even has to do with anything, but I feel like we're distancing ourselves with you guys, and I miss you guys. So we're excited to be back. I know I was absent for the last podcast. I was actually busy in one of the worst states of all time, Florida. I know our Florida listeners aren't going to be too happy about that, but I had to go to some spring training, watching baseball, watching a real sport. We only have NBA on right now, so I had to, get my fix of a real sport in. But a very eventful weekend, just in the sense of our own personal lives, which you guys don't give a fuck about. But I had to talk to Spazz real quick, and he had maybe the most eventful weekend of all time. Spazz, why don't you break it down for us?
I love how you're saying that when you were down in spring training, watching some great things happen. But yeah, last night, this is a true story. I was at my buddy's watching Selection Sunday. I was stone cold sober. It was about 8 p.m. I'm driving home. I get hit by a drunk driver. His passengers bail out of the car and leave. And the dude tried fleeing the accident. However, his vehicle would not start. But that's a lesson to, if you're ever watching Selection Sunday, always go to the casino after and don't go home, because if I would have went to the casino, I wouldn't have got in a car crash.
Yeah, I think that's the true words have never been spoken. And I mean, maybe there was just a lot of angst going around. I mean, this is the very first March Madness we've had in the last 2 years. So I think maybe this guy was obviously watching Selection Sunday too. Maybe a little bit bummed out that Belmont didn't make the tournament, maybe drunk himself into a stoop. I don't know what happened there, but enough with that. I can't even wait to get into this. I mean, we have, like I said, March Madness, the first time in 2 years. And, Selection Sunday was yesterday. I was actually on a plane. I missed it, but of course I've caught up with the brackets and everything. And it looks like it's going to be a great tournament. And I'm just going to call it right out of the gate. I love Illinois. I'm taking Illinois. I'm wasting no time. No one else is winning this thing. Illinois is going to run the table here. What do you think?
That's exciting. This is the first time we've actually had a chance to talk about this. And I 100% agree with you. Illinois is my team, my dog. I know I've been high on Iowa all year, but recently they've shown me that they can't get it done. I think this Illinois basketball team is the most complete college basketball team we've seen since I don't even know when. They are outstanding in every category. And to me, it's not even going to be close. I have them winning the Natty by at least 15.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree anymore. And this is really interesting for me because, as the listeners know, I am undefeated in 2021 for picking championships. So, and again, it's usually for professional sports, so I'm not going to test my luck too much, but it's definitely another way to see if I'm right here. I mean, if Illinois comes down with this thing, I know it's not the beginning of the season, but, we got 68 teams here. If I was able to pick the one, and you as well, if we're able to pick the one team out of 68 here, still pretty impressive, but we're going to dive right into it. The biggest thing that I wanted to talk with you today, Spazz, is just about the dark horses. I know you've loved the dark horses since we started, and unfortunately, I said ASU. I don't know what I was smoking, but I said ASU was going to be the dark horse to make a run. They obviously didn't make the tournament. They're dog shit. But kind of talk to me about some of the dark horses that you see in this tournament.
Well, as I discussed last episode, I am extremely high on Arkansas. I think this is a team that could win it all if Illinois, something happens to them. But Note, I assume, is going to be the sixth man of the year. Something interesting about him is he averages more points than their starters. And they have a really deep bench. They are outstanding at rebounding. They live and die by the three, which could ultimately hurt them. But I love this Arkansas team. They are in kind of the tougher side of the bracket, in my opinion. But I got a couple other ones. I have Wisconsin, a 9 seed, who, the Big Ten was extremely tough this year. They played very well in the Big Ten. I think they have an easier side of the bracket, and Wisconsin has an experience, so they could always be a dark horse. And my very last one is the herpes-riddled bitch, Sister Jean, Norma Jean.
I was waiting for it.
So Loyola Chicago, they're 24-4. I know Missouri Valley gets a lot of hate, but they did beat Drake twice. They lost Wisconsin and Richmond very early on. Ever since, they only had 2 losses. They started 3-2, like I said, but they've been winning these games by 20 or more. Even Drake, who was a ranked team, they beat them both twice, once by 27 points, I believe. And the Missouri Valley title game was a three-peat of the Drake rematch, and they beat them by 10. And that was a 17-game winning streak. I believe in Loyola a lot. They have the number one defense in the country. And would you please tell me your dark horses?
Yeah, and so this is a really interesting one for me because I have one, and it's kind of, I guess, situational, just because where they're placed at in the bracket is a very interesting spot, and it's going to be a 10 seed Maryland. So again, you think of a 10 seed making a deep run into this thing, it's like, okay, yeah, probably not, but when we look at their first game, they're going to play UConn, and obviously that's not the women's team, so they're going to win that game. And the next one is going to be between Alabama and Iona, and I'm going to talk about this game in a second. But let's just say, if Alabama does win that Iona game, which obviously I think they will, but again, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Let's say they can sneak by Alabama, maybe Iona if Iona gets there. Then they're playing just on that other side of that bracket there. They're going to be playing what looks like, I mean, if all goes chalk on that side, it would be number 3 Texas, who I don't think is a very good team. If not, they could either be playing BYU, Michigan State, UCLA, or Albi Christian. So again, not great teams there. And again, with Maryland being in the Big Ten, they've played a really tough schedule. I think they got a really good squad. I could definitely see them making a run, especially into that Elite Eight. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be very situational on what happens within that Alabama game. And I guess let me just jump into that before we kind of talk about anything else. And it's so, as a lot of people know, Rick Pitino, the GOAT with the Louisville tattoo. I don't know where he even has that, probably on his ass, but he's actually the coach now for Iona. And so, of course, Iona got in at the 15 seed. They actually played a great season. They won their conference tournament. They punched their ticket, and they're going to be heading to Alabama. Or not going to be heading to Alabama, but they're going to be playing Alabama. And like I said, I mean, this is March Madness. Anything can happen. Let's say Iona gets it done. Let's say Rick Pitino works that magic, gets it done. I could see them, obviously getting to the Sweet 16. Maryland would beat Iona. So again, I could see anything happening. Then obviously too, Elite Eight. I mean, anybody knows what could happen in the Elite Eight. So,
and I want to jump in with the Iona talk because I followed this team, and just solely based off Rick Pitino before that he came, I honestly never even gave a fuck or heard of this team. But college basketball, as we all know, is a guards game. And when it comes to the tournament, a lot of the experienced players, like the upperclassmen, have more success historically. And Asante Gist, the lead guard, he's a senior for Iona. Last year, he was averaging 4.2 points a game. This season, he's at 14 points a game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. This guy is absolutely dominant. Isaiah Ross, his brother, in the guard position, he also stayed when Rick Pitino came. He's another guy. He's averaging 9 more points than he was last season. I like Rick Pitino. I think he has that Italian mafia look, and he also wants a vengeance. He wants to prove, hey, you guys shut me out. I'm in it for real. And I think he takes them at least 1-2 wins, and then he gets a bigger coaching position at a bigger school.
Oh, absolutely. This is kind of like a Trojan horse situation. I mean, you see Iona get into the tournament, and Rick Pitino is kind of like the soldiers there. They're kind of inside of the Trojan horse, which is the Iona basketball team. And I mean, they're into the compound, they're into the complex. And so who knows what's going to happen there, but definitely not going to say, dump all your money on Iona to upset Alabama there. If I'm a betting man, which everybody knows I am, I'm going to take Alabama. But again, just kind of something to pay attention to there in the, let me actually double. Yeah, it's going to be down there in the East region. So definitely something to keep an eye on. And then something that I wanted to ask you are just some of the snubs. I mean, obviously this is always the biggest topic of the year. I'm going to kick it off, and it's just with Michigan State. Everyone knows I got the bias for Michigan State, but how is this team a play-in game? I mean, it's pretty disrespectful for Michigan State to be a play-in game when you have teams like Syracuse who didn't get the play-in game. They're 1-7 versus quad 1 teams. But again, I don't know how Michigan State's that play-in game. And, with me running my mouth here, they'll probably get their ass kicked by UCLA, but regardless, they shouldn't be a play-in game. Another big snub, actually, from my point of view here, too, and I know we actually talked about this off the podcast, and that's Mizzou. I mean, how the hell does Mizzou get the 9 seed? They're going to be playing Oklahoma, the 8 seed, when they have 7 quad 1 wins. They've beaten Arkansas, Illinois, Tennessee, and Alabama. I mean, these are top tier programs in this tournament. They've already beat them all, and they get the 9 seed. So those are the two big ones that doesn't really make sense to me. I think Mizzou, they're going to rout Oklahoma, and I'm calling it right now. They're going to beat Gonzaga in that second round. So again, those are my two biggest snubs. What about you? What do you have for the snubs of the tournament so far?
My biggest snub for the team that did not make it in is Memphis. And the reasoning is the American Athletic Conference is a two big conference this year. And Houston obviously won the title and they deserve to get in. So by default, they picked a second team, which was Wichita State. Memphis beat Wichita State by 20 points. Memphis was a 12-point dog to Houston last week, only lost by a heartbreaker buzzer beater 3. And then this Saturday, they were an 8-point favorite, only lost by 3 again. They are a better team than Wichita State. They have the number 2 defensive efficiency in the country. This Memphis team should have got in. But as far as seeding go, I have to agree with the Mizzou. I think that is ridiculous. 9 seed, way too high. I think Mizzou should be a 14 or 13 seed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And so I guess kind of talking about just another team that I think is kind of snubbed here a little bit. And I'm not going to act like I know anything about this team, but it's Belmont. I was looking at some of the big snubs for the tournament, and I didn't realize Belmont, they don't get in after a 26-4 season. And obviously they lost their conference tournament, or else they would be an automatic bid, but they don't get in at 26-4. Again, I know they don't play anybody, but how is that any different from Gonzaga? I mean, Gonzaga doesn't play anybody and they get in, and I know they haven't lost a game, but who cares? I mean, 26 wins is 26 wins. If you're going to let all dog shit teams in at 26 wins, you got to let them all in. And Belmont kind of got the short end of the stick there. I mean, do you know anything about Belmont? Do you even know where they reside out of?
Yeah, they're out of Nashville, Tennessee, but
Okay.
I've actually toured their campus. It is a pretty decent team for what I can tell, but a lot of people compare Belmont to Drake. Now, another snub I have is St. Louis University. Now, they can technically still get in if a team, would contract COVID and have to withdraw from the tournament. SLU would be the third option, but Yuri Collins, he's a St. Louis native. He's their guard, 6 foot. He plays extremely well on the wing. He is very spotty, though. He dropped 17 points March 5th against UMass. And then the very next day against St. Bonaventure, which is a team I'm high on, which we'll get into later, he only scored 1. And I think if the SLU team does get in, let's say COVID happens, a team withdrawals, I think SLU could make some noise. That's another snub on my end.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And so I guess let me kind of switch it over and start the conversation for who got in that shouldn't be in. And I'm going to kick it off, and I'm going to say Syracuse. Like I said earlier, with Michigan State somehow being that play-in game, we have Syracuse, like I said, 1-7 versus those quad 1 teams. And it doesn't make sense to me. This Syracuse team hasn't beat anybody worth a shit. And obviously they sneak in. Not only do they sneak in, but they avoid the play-in, and they get the 11th seed. They're going to be playing San Diego State, the 6th seed in the first round. And this is going to be an all-time rout, if you ask me. I haven't really looked at the lines as of yet. I don't care what that San Diego State line is. I'm hammering it. I'm absolutely hammering it with everything that I have. Syracuse has no business being in this tournament. It's all about reputation. It's all about, obviously, the name Syracuse. They've already lost out on Duke. They've lost out on Kentucky not making the tournament. They can't lose another one with Syracuse. So that's obviously why they got in. But another one that I wanted to talk about that shouldn't be in, it's Gonzaga. I mean, this team, seriously, I mean, this is just, it's a dog shit program. I mean, I'm telling you right now, they're not going to win this thing. They're not going to, I would be shocked if they make the Final Four. And again, they are in the easiest, I think they're in the easiest really division, or I guess segment there of the bracket. They're in the West. The 2 seed out of the West is Iowa. I know you're big on Garza and Iowa there, but we have through the 3 seed in that is going to be, let me actually just double check here. I don't know. Oh yeah, the 3 seed's Kansas. They're obviously going to obliterate them if they even get the chance. But like I said, I mean, we have, if Missouri does their job against Oklahoma, I think Missouri's going to beat Gonzaga. Calling it right now. Probably going to eat my words. Gonzaga's probably going to win it all.
No, let me hop in with the Gonzaga real quick. So an undefeated team's never won the tournament. Since the start of the tournament, there's only been 1 or 2 other 1 seeds that ever win it all. On top of that, Gonzaga, no bench. I talked about that last episode. And also Suggs, yeah, he's a premier college basketball player, but he can't be playing the entire game hero ball. So I'm also high on the fuck Gonzaga train. But the team I think should not make it or should not be in it at all that did make it is Rutgers. What the hell are they doing in? I know it's, for the storyline, they haven't made it in 30 some years, but this is a team who lost 6 games in a row. They lost to the Michigan State Spartans, who I'm not even a fan of. I'm not extremely sold
Whoa,
on them
whoa,
yet
whoa.
either. They lost to MSU by 23 points. The only reason this team's in is they got an early win against Illinois by 2 on a bullshit bad beat call, but they also lost to Nebraska by 21 points. And that was not that long ago. That was about 2 weeks from the date ago. This team should not be in the March Madness tournament at all.
Yeah, they're definitely a dog shit team. Again, you definitely got to take in consideration just the division that they're in. Sorry, I'm stuttering there, but the division that they're in, obviously the Big Ten, it's a powerhouse. And I think, they wanted to throw everybody in the Big Ten that they could into this tournament just to make it a little bit more exciting. But yeah, Rutgers is dog shit. I mean, 1-7 versus top 25 teams. They're 10-10 in the Big Ten. They allow the opponents to score more. Their opponents' points per game is going to be 70, and they only score 68.2 per game. So obviously going to get a route there. I mean, I have to admit, I'm not huge on Clemson either, and that's who the Rutgers are going to play. You could see the Rutgers kind of sneak around here for a little bit, maybe hang in that game, maybe even win that game. But regardless, I don't like the Rutgers. I don't really have anyone else that shouldn't be in. I don't know if you had anyone else to add to that list of programs that somehow snuck into the tournament this year.
No, I just wanted to talk about some round one upsets. Who do you think is going to be the hot Cinderella?
Yeah, and this one, see, this is going to be my favorite segment because this one is so up in the air. Obviously, nobody knows what the big upsets are going to be. And I mean, man, I was really racking my brain this week, or I guess really in the last 24 hours, about where the big upset's going to come from. Obviously, we have the 5 and the 12. Everybody knows that, in the last 40 years, there's been 50 12 seeds to beat a 5 seed. So it happens at least once a year. And, my personal pick on that one, I love Georgetown here. Obviously, everyone knows Georgetown is probably the hottest team in this tournament. They just won the conference tourney. They're playing Colorado, who's a bad team. Colorado actually just lost their conference tourney. But, like I said, I was really racking my brain on trying to find the bigger upset, maybe like a 14-3 somewhere, but I just couldn't find it. I just could not find it anywhere. I don't know if you picked up on any of those high seeds maybe getting knocked out early.
As far as the high seeds, I'm still, doing my research and due diligence. I'll have some more decision on that later tonight. But a 5-12 seed, as we know, are all victorious and notorious, as they are usually, every single year. There's at least one or two. But I kind of like this Winthrop team, and there's a few reasons. The Eagles are in the Big South, and they are 23-1. And a lot of people talk shit on the Big South, saying it's a garbage league, a garbage conference. But Chandler Vanderen is one of the best mid-major players in the country. He was the player of the year in the conference. He averages 14 points a game, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. This guy is a dog. He's just one of 3 players at the D1 level, averaging 12, 7, and 8. And I think that Villanova is not playing very well, especially as of lately. And I think this Winthrop team could knock them out early. I also like the Bonnies, St. Bonaventure Bonnies. It's not necessarily an upset, but I think they could make some noise in this tournament.
Yeah, no, totally. And I guess, like I said, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but that Iona, 15 seeded Iona going against Alabama. And again, I love Alabama. I think they're a great team. But again, I would love to see Iona at least upset someone, do something. It's really throwing a wrench in my bracket in that East Division, in that East
Okay,
Conference there.
let me ask you a question. Which 3 seed would you be most surprised if they were to lose?
Yeah, sorry. I think Michael Vick's at my door, but it's interesting. Again, we're looking at the 3 seeds here. We have Texas, who, like I said, isn't the greatest 3 seed of all time. I guess if I had to pick any one of them to go down, I would say Texas. We have, I know you're big on Arkansas. I'm not crazy about Arkansas, but they're playing fucking Colgate. They're literally playing a toothpaste. So I don't think there's really anything to be worried about there. And then, really, Kansas, I think they're one of the strongest teams right now heading into the tournament. So really, other than Texas and maybe Arkansas, I don't know, man. I just don't see any of the big upsets. Do you see any 3 seed going down early?
I could see Texas losing for a few reasons. Now, Greg Brown, he was the number one recruit out of high school. Uh, and everyone thought this guy was going to be the next D Rose, the next LeBron. This guy's averaging about 2.5 points a game. He's very bad. And it's an in-state rivalry. Abilene Christian is a school in Texas. They only have 4 losses. This is a team that can believe in themselves to win their conference tournament, and I bet on them. They're a minus 1,200 favorite to win a conference tournament. This is a very hot Abilene Christian team, and if I had to choose a 3 seed, I would say Texas loses. And I am sorry because I know we have a lot of fans in Austin.
You know what? Fuck it. You sold me on it. I officially, horns down. I'm all in. I'm all in. I think Texas is going to lose this game now. And I was actually just looking here too. It looks like is it Abilene Christian? Is that how you say it?
Yes.
It looks like they actually have one of the best defenses. They allow a little over 60 points per game from their opponents. There's a lot to be said for that around tournament time, assuming they can shoot the ball well. I could see Texas definitely going down there. But, I guess just looking at this first round overall, what are some of your favorite games, at least to watch? At least to kind of sit down, have a beer, maybe not get hit by a drunk driver if that's what you're into. But, what are your favorite games for the first round?
My favorite game so far is going to be LSU St. Bonaventure. And I know a lot of people aren't even going to watch that or even know those 2 teams were playing, but St. Bonaventure has really sold me as a contender. I think they're a Sweet 16 team. So I will be watching those. Also, Arkansas versus Toothpaste. I think this Colgate team's underrated. I think this game's going to come down to a buzzer. They're, keep in mind, they're 14-1, only play 15 games, bullshit conference, but every opening weekend or week of March Madness, every time in the round of 64, there's about 4 or 5 games that come down to a buzzer beater. I'm saying this is one of the teams that comes down to it. And my very last one, and I know a lot of people are going to laugh, and I'm dead serious, it's going to be Houston-Cleveland State. I hate this Houston team. Cleveland State made me a bunch of money. They won their conference tournament. And Houston's not a good 2 seed, very strong to me. And I just want to see underdog win. And this is going to be my underdog game that I watch.
Oh, no, I love it. That's going to be a good one to watch. And just while you were talking about that, I actually – I was thinking, maybe just because, it's called Colgate, it's the toothpaste, maybe they have a chance against Arkansas because I was also, like I said, I was looking up something here, and Arkansas actually has the 44th out of 50 ranked hygiene. They're ranked 44th out of 50 in hygiene. So, there's a lot to be said for this. And this is the kind of stuff you have to look for. It is March. It's going to be madness. So there could be kind of a kryptonite kind of thing going on there. I'm not sure. We're going to have to watch and find out. But some of the games that I definitely want to watch, just any of the play-in games, obviously just going to be excited to watch tournament basketball again. Definitely Drake versus Wichita State. I think that's going to be a great game. I would love to see Drake win that game, not only just because I love Drake, I love the name Drake. They're actually named after the rapper Drake. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but no, that's actually a complete lie.
A lot of fans in Des Moines, Iowa, Drake, I can confirm.
But I think that's going to be a good game. And then obviously, too, the Michigan State UCLA play-in game. There's definitely going to be some good play-in games. But on top of that, just any of that 5-12 matchup, those games are just absolute. That to me is the definition of March Madness, is those 5-12 matchups. Because you'll have some dude, let's say some just crazy shit happens. And let's say all 12 seeds win. And there's going to be some dude on Twitter is like, oh, I had them all. Like my bracket's perfect. Every single year there's something like that. And, he's probably got 9,000 brackets. Me and you, we used to do this pretty much every single year. We'd look at who's leading for the ESPN bracket challenge, and it would have some guy who's got Winthrop winning it all. So it's going to be interesting to see those cats come out of the woodwork in the next couple of weeks. But another big one that I want to see is just that Georgia Tech Loyola Chicago game. Obviously, not only just to see that old herpes lady, if she's even still around, but just to see Loyola Chicago get their fucking, asses kicked. I think Georgia Tech is going to rout Loyola Chicago in that game. I think that may actually kill that old lady if they beat him too bad. But other than that, I think Virginia Tech, Florida is going to be a good one. And then, then we get into the exciting stuff, round 2, Sweet 16, Elite 8. And then we're off and running. Before we know it, this thing's going to be over and we're going to be like, wow, that that was fast. It seems like that happens every single year, but those are definitely my games to watch. Is there anything else on top of just games to watch that you wanted to talk about in relation to the first round?
Yeah, I got a bold prediction, not necessarily first round, but I believe the only one seed that is going to make it to the Elite Eight is Illinois. I think Baylor is
Wow.
in a very competitive side of the bracket. A lot of people think it's the shittiest part, but Purdue or Arkansas or Wisconsin could easily knock them off. We don't believe in Gonzaga. We've already established that. In Michigan, everyone's so high on them. I know you've been talking shit about them on the podcast before, but this is a team that could lose to Alabama or Maryland. So I'm going to make a bold prediction now. Illinois is the only one seed to make it to the Elite Eight. And no, excuse me, to make it to the Final Four. I think the Elite Eight's too harsh. I could see Baylor potentially making it to the Elite Eight, but I want to let everyone know to lock in Illinois winning it all. We can both confirm that. And as far as a first round upset lock, I got VCU number 10 over number 7 Oregon.
Oh, I like that. I absolutely like that. And it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I haven't had the most time in the world to officially pick my bracket out and give you my Final Four or anything like that. But on my very first go around, like I said, I didn't really do too much due diligence here. But just looking at my current Final Four, I'm actually the exact opposite of you. I have 3 one seeds in. I got Michigan, Baylor, Illinois, and then I have Kansas because Gonzaga is actually not even. They're considered not a real one seed in my opinion. So there's really actually no one seed out of the West. So, but I definitely have Kansas out of the West there. The only one seed not to make it, and it's just so hard to tell. I mean, I feel like I do this every year. And there's only like 1 or 2 that make it every single year. So I'm probably going to get butchered on that. But do you have your Final Four picked out yet? Or are you still working on the bracket?
Gun to my head, I'll just go off top. And I don't actually have it yet, but I'm going to go Illinois, obviously. I mean, how can you not?
Right.
And then I have Alabama, I have Arkansas, and I have Iowa.
See, I like that. I think that just with the seeding, that sounds better. Because when I look at my Final Four and I see 3 ones, I don't know. I mean, we talked all about the podcast all year long about how it's going to be chalk, chalk, chalk. But I don't know. I mean, I like to see a 2 in there, a 3 in there. And for me, I got 3 one seeds. So I don't know. We'll definitely see how it plays out. Like I said, I haven't done all my due diligence yet. But again, just excited for fucking the tournament to be back. I mean, 2 years. I don't think I could ever go another 2 years without March Madness. Just glad it's back. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about on the podcast today?
Yeah, we have a March Madness giveaway. If you guys want to join our tournament, we are going to tweet out the link. The winner of it will receive $50. And stay tuned for more giveaways. We appreciate all the listeners. Listener of the week goes to Austin Riley from, this can't be a real town, Panthersville, Montana. Shout out
I think
Austin.
that's got to be fake. Is that even a real? There's no. Well, if they even have that is a real seed, there's
Yeah,
no way they have internet, right?
Yeah, he slid in the DMs. You're gonna win a $25 Bovada player transfer.
Jeez, I mean, do we got to be fair? We should be nice. He's probably like on city council or something there, so we should probably be nice. All 7 people that are in that town, but great for you. And yeah, like Spazz was saying, we're gonna be doing the ESPN tournament challenge just with everyone involved, all of our followers, listeners, people like that. So definitely keep an eye out for our Twitter. It's going to be a free $50. So you don't have to buy in anything. It's just a free $50 to the winner of the tournament. So keep an eye out for that. Obviously, you can look for that on our Twitter at Bad Beats Podcast or at Lock In Bets. But other than that, until next time, guys, enjoy it. I mean, enjoy the tournament. It's going to be amazing. It's back. It's finally back. So enjoy it.